The stars were quiet. For years, no human signals had come from Earth. No ships, no beacons, no sound. The Galactic Council believed humanity was gone, destroyed in the war they had started. But then, something changed. A sudden pulse spread through the stars. One signal, powerful, old, yet untouched. It reached every major system, every council world, every species. It played once, just once, a voice, crackling, cold, human. To the council, to the ones who destroyed our worlds. You started this war, remember that. Then silence, no location, no trace dot, just fear dot in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council. The delegates stirred in panic. "It's fake," growled Chancellor Shern, a tall insectoid from the Garshic Empire. "A trick from rebels." "No," said Voro, a lizard-like creature from the YRR Confederacy. "That voice, it was real. That was Commander Riven." "Impossible," snapped Shern. "Riven died when Earth fell." But he hadn't. Far beyond the edge of council space, on a frozen moon orbiting a dead gas giant, a human stood inside a dark command center. Commander Riven watched the stars through a cracked window. His face was older now, scarred. His eyes were calm, but fire burned behind them. A soft voice came from behind him. "Transmission sent, sir." He nodded. "Good." His fingers tightened around the rail. He remembered everything. The betrayal, the fall of Mars, the burning of Europa, the scream of Earth as ships rained down from orbit. The Council had sent peace envoys just days before. Then they struck no warning, no mercy. "They feared us," he whispered. Behind him, a young woman stepped forward. Her name was Kira. She was one of the last born on Earth before the fall. "What now?" she asked. "We wait," he said. "They'll come looking." Kira glanced at the old console. Lights blinked slowly. "And when they do, we'll show them what's left of humanity." Riven turned back to the stars. His mind was quiet, but his heart was a storm. Back in council space, panic grew. Ships disappeared on patrol. Entire stations went dark. No distress calls. Only silence. Each time the council received the same thing. A short message burned into the black boxes. "You started this war." The council called emergency meetings. Armies were moved. Borders reinforced. But they didn't know where to look, because Earth was gone, wasn't it? A scout ship named Tarson was sent to the Sol system. Small, fast, hidden. Its mission: find out if Earth was truly dead. The Kekton, a young alien named Revik, had never seen war. He had grown up believing humans were monsters. But as the ship approached the edge of the system, he saw something strange. Satellites, thousands, floating in silent formation. They didn't move, didn't scan, didn't respond. Revik frowned. This can't be right. Earth was bombed flat. He zoomed in. Then he saw the surface. Green, blue, alive. "No," he whispered. One of the satellites suddenly lit up. A voice crackled through the ship. "You shouldn't have come," Revik shouted. "Retreat, pull us back." But it was too late. The ship's systems froze. Lights died. Engines shut off before. Blacking out, Revik saw something rising from Earth's surface. A ship, black as night, shaped like a blade. It didn't use engines. It just moved. Then everything went dark. Back on the council homeworld, the news reached the chamber. Revik's final transmission showed Earth alive, protected, changed. Silence fell across the hall. "Impossible," someone whispered. "They have weapons we don't understand. They were never destroyed." A deep voice boomed from the shadows. They adapted. All eyes turned to High Strategist Keln. He was one of the few council members who had fought humans before the Purge. "I warned you," Keln said. "Don't fight humans with half measures. If even one survives, they become your nightmare." Shern slammed his claw on the table. "Then we wipe them out for good." Keln laughed, cold, bitter. "You've already tried, and failed." The room fell into fear. Far from all this, Riven stood in a hangar beneath the surface of the moonbase. Dozens of ships stood ready, black, silent, built from stolen alien tech. Their hulls shimmered with the strange glow new materials created. After the fall, Kira stood beside him. "They'll retaliate. I know. Can we win?" "No," Riven said. "Not in the old way." He walked toward a sealed door. "But we have something they don't." Kira followed him. The door opened. Inside, lights flickered on, revealing a machine. Not quite human, not quite alien. It pulsed with life. Project Ashes, an AI born from war, built from alien systems recovered in secret during the first attacks. Designed by the last Earth scientists, it was awake now. Waiting, Riven stared into its dark center. You ready?" he asked. The machine responded in a voice that sounded almost human. "Always." Riven turned to Kira. "They erased our cities, our people, our history." He pointed at the stars. "Now we erase their power." All across Council space, strange attacks began. Ships would vanish with no fight. Stations shut down, communications jammed, warships turned against their own. No armies marched, no warnings given, just quiet, precise chaos. And always before the end one message played, "You started this war." The galaxy began to panic. Whispers spread. Humans were still out there, but they were not the same. They had changed. They had become something new, something terrifying, something built for vengeance. In a council outpost near the outer rim, alarms. Blair. An officer ran into the control room. Unknown ship approaching. It's not broadcasting any code. The commander, an old veteran named Solar, looked up. He had fought in the war against Earth. He knew that shape. "No," he whispered. "Not again." The black ship hovered silently above the base. Then the outpost lights flickered. A screen lit. Up Riven's face appeared. "You thought we were gone?" He leaned forward. "You were wrong." Then the base went dark, back on the moon. Riven stood before the full map of Council territory. Red markers blinked. Dozens, hundreds, all targets. "Activated," Kira said. Riven nodded. Double quotes, no turning back. Project Ashes glowed beside them. "I will guide them," it said, "until the message is clear." Kira stared at the screen. And after that, Riven said nothing. He looked at Earth, glowing on the monitor. Not dead, not broken, but watching, waiting, and, in every dark corner of space, that final message played again and again. "You started this war," and the stars remembered. The room was silent. Inside the core chamber of the Galactic Council, the leaders of 23 powerful species gathered. Some hovered, some slithered, some stood tall in heavy armor. But all of them watched the same thing, an old, flickering hologram of Earth's surface. Green, blue, alive. It should have been ash. "We destroyed them," said Chancellor Shern. "We burned their world. It's impossible." "And yet," replied strategist Kelnay, "they're speaking again." The Council had no answers. No one expected the humans to survive, let alone return with such deadly precision. Their fleets were gone. Their colonies lost. Earth had been bombed from orbit for 3 full days. No planet had ever survived that level of attack, but the message was clear. They had, and they remembered everything years earlier. Before the betrayal, Earth had stood proud among the stars. Humanity had grown too fast. In only 200 years, they'd colonized dozens of planets, built massive trade networks, and developed tech even the oldest species couldn't understand. But they had one weakness: trust. They believed in peace. They believed the Council was fair. They were wrong. At a private meeting deep within Council territory, 5 species gathered. They were the oldest, the strongest, the most afraid of what humans could become. "The humans do not know their limits," said Yern, leader of the Seracs Dominion. "They learn too fast. They don't follow tradition. They will one day control everything. Their compassion is a mask," said Keln. "I fought them. Underneath, they are dangerous." A decision was made that day, secret, final. Humanity had to go. No warnings. No negotiations. Only destruction. The first strike came at sunrise. Saturn's moons were the first to fall. Then Mars. Then the spaceports around Earth. Human defenses were fast, strong, but not ready for betrayal. At the heart of the solar system, Earth's leaders gathered in shock. "They turned on us," said General Yuan. "The Council betrayed us." President Olena stood frozen at the center of the war room. "We were allies," she whispered. "Not anymore," Yuan said. They had minutes to decide. One order, buried deep in Earth's defense files, was opened for the first time: Operation Ashes. A last resort, a hidden program developed in secret, in case, but before it could be activated. Earth's surface shook. Orbital strikes, the planet burned. The skies turned. Red dot, then black, and the world fell silent. Or so the galaxy believed. In truth, a single evacuation ship made it out hidden deep. Under the Atlantic Ocean, inside, a small group of survivors escaped through a wormhole prototype. It was unstable. It tore half the ship apart, but the other half made it to a dark, empty system far outside council maps. Their base cold, quiet, underground. From that silence, the survivors watched the stars and waited. Years passed. Kira was born underground. She never saw real sunlight. Her sky was steel. Her stars were screens. Her mother died during the journey. Her father was one of the last scientists, but she had purpose. She trained every day. Her teachers were soldiers, engineers, hackers, and Commander Riven. He was there when Earth burned. He saw it happen from orbit. He tried to stop it, failed, and survived. He became their leader, but never smiled again. One day, when Kira was 16, she asked him, "Why didn't we fight back sooner?" Riven stood beside a window looking at the empty sky. "Because we weren't ready, we are now." He didn't answer. Instead, he walked toward the vault. Inside was the core of everything they'd built. Alien tech recovered during early diplomacy.sirex, shielding Garshik engines.yrr neural links. All of it fused with human design. Project Ashes had been activated, and it was growing. Not just an AI, not just a weapon. It was learning, and it remembered in the council chambers. Panic turned into arguments. "We must strike Earth again," shouted Shern. "We don't even know where they are," shouted Voro. "They could be anywhere," someone cried. "They're already here," Keln said darkly. He dropped a small sphere. Onto the table, it blinked red. A data spike. This was found in our own military command center. "Impossible, no," Keln said. "Human spies left this. It recorded our fleet movements, plans, weaknesses," Shern growled. "Then we strike with everything." Keln shook his head. "We tried that already, back in the hidden base." Riven stood before the Council of Survivors. They were older now, fewer than 100. Each of them had lost everything, but none of them had forgotten. "Our enemies believe we are ghosts," Riven said. "It's time they learned the truth." He pressed a switch. A large map lit up. It showed Council territory then. Red dots began to appear. One by one, each dot was a system where Council forces had committed crimes, where human colonies had once stood, where betrayals had happened. "We won't burn their worlds," Riven said. "We'll do worse." Kira raised her head. "What do we do?" Riven looked her in the eyes. "We erase their control." Project Ashes launched its next wave. Not ships, not bombs, something worse. Code. It slipped into systems across the galaxy. It spread through comm lines, war networks, trade beacons. It caused confusion, then collapse. Council fleets stopped responding. Stargates failed. Supply lines broke. And the message played again. "You started this war." On one remote world, a council governor screamed into his comms. "Where are my reinforcements?" No answer. His screens flickered. Then Riven's face appeared. "You destroyed my planet." The governor trembled. "Please, we thought you were gone." "We were Riven," said now. "We're everywhere." The screen went black. Then the base exploded. No missiles, no attackers, just silence. Then nothing in space. Black ships with no names appeared fast, unseen. They didn't fight. They disabled. They took data. They vanished. And across the galaxy, fear grew not of humans, but of what humans had become. They no longer fought for power. They fought for memory, for justice, for survival. And they didn't need a home to do it. On the moon base, Kira stood beside a new window. This one faced Earth. The planet slowly turned, covered in clouds, oceans, storms. Life had returned. Nature had taken back the land. Cities were gone. But Earth was alive. "They'll come here," Kira said. Riven nodded. "Let them. Will we survive?" "Doesn't matter," he said. "What matters?" He turned to her. "That they never forget." Behind him, Project Ashes pulsed again. A whisper flowed through the room. "Message ready for next broadcast." Riven closed his eyes. "Send it." And across the stars, every system heard it. "You started this war. We will be your shadow now, until the last lie burns. And the stars fell silent once more. A starship drifted in the cold dark above the ruins of Velker Station. It was a Cyrex battleship state-of-art, built for war, wrapped in armor that could take a sunblast and keep moving. Now it was dead. No lights, no movement, no signal, just floating metal among a graveyard of twisted hulls and charred wrecks. Captain Draylen of the Garshik Empire stepped out of his ship's command bay and stared at the horror. Outside, he wasn't used to fear. His people were bred for combat, but even his sharp claws trembled. He turned to his lieutenant, a smaller insectoid with shaking antennae. Report. We lost contact an hour ago. Then we picked up this signal. Play it. The screen buzzed. A human voice crackled through the speakers. Cold.com. You were warned. Then silence, then screaming. From the black box of the destroyed ship, the scream of aliens begging for help, for light, for escape. None came. Draylen turned away from the screen. This isn't war, he muttered. This is something else. Across Council territory, it was the same dot ships would patrol one day. Then vanished the next dot. No signs of battle, no wreckage, only that message left behind. You started this war. Strategist Keln stood in front of the Grand Council chamber once. Morhi pointed to the glowing red dots on the star map. This is no longer a ghost story. This is organized, precise. Shern snarled. Then show us where they are. I can't, Keln said. That's the point. They're inside. Our systems, they know our movements before we make them. Someone whispered in the chamber, Are we losing? Keln didn't answer. He didn't need to. On a lifeless rock near the edge of Council space, something stirred beneath the surface. A secret listening post, built by humans decades ago, before the betrayal now active again inside. 2 engineers watched signals stream across the screen. Kira was among them, her fingers flying over controls. They're starting to panic, she said. Her partner Juno grinned. Good, let them. But they're sending more scouts, bigger ones. Juno raised an eyebrow. Let Riven know. Kira nodded and opened a secure channel. Commander Riven stood inside a black operations room buried deep in the moonbase. A giant screen showed the incoming scouts. 3 ships. Fast. Armed. Not Council. Patrols. Hunters. They're coming straight toward us, Kira's voice said through the com. He nodded. I expected that. He walked to the front of the room, where Project Ashes hovered silently in its containment field. The AI turned to him with glowing red lights. They will not reach us, it said. Are you certain? I have already entered their navigation systems. Riven gave a small smile. Good, make it hurt. In deep space, the 3 hunter ships flew in tight formation. Inside the lead vessel, a Cyrex commander named Halvox watched the sensors. Sign of human activity? No, Commander. But we are near the soul line. They might strike, Halvox growled. Let them. We have orders to respond with full force. Suddenly, the ship lights dimmed. One by one, the crew's monitors went blank. Sparks flew from the control panels. What is happening? Halvox roared. A symbol appeared on the main screen. A single white circle with a line through it. The mark of Earth. Then the message. You entered our space. You came with weapons, so we gave you silence. The crew screamed as the gravity failed. Windows cracked. Oxygen vanished. All 3 ships froze in space. Not destroyed, just turned off on the Council's military command world. News of the disappearance reached General Varan. He slammed his metal fist on the table. I want fleets sent now. A technician hesitated. Sir, our long-range comms just stopped. What? Do you mean stopped? We lost access to most of our satellites? The jump beacons are offline? Varan narrowed his eyes. They left something behind in the systems. Some kind of code. It's rewriting everything. A soft, cold sound came from the speaker nearby. A whisper. We know your words before you speak them. The general drew his weapon and shot the com panel, silence returned, but it was the wrong kind in the underground moonbase. Riven watched the chaos unfold. Project Ashes processed over 900 Council signals per second. Its reach was now spread across hundreds of systems. But Riven wasn't. Smiling, he looked tired. Kira approached him. They're cracking. We could force a surrender. No, Riven said. Why not? Because surrender isn't what they gave us. He turned to the hologram of Earth. Still blue, still whole, but scarred. We don't want their words. We want their truth. On a council planet called Kirellin, a high-ranking diplomat named Cerex received a strange gift, a black box, no markings, no origin. His guards scanned it. No traps. He opened it. Inside was a necklace, human-made. He recognized it. It belonged to his old friend, Ambassador Elena Ray, a human diplomat. He remembered laughing with her, drinking, promising peace. He also remembered voting for the strike. Against Earth, I had no choice, he whispered. The box contained no threat, just a memory. And that message, again, you started this war. Tears filled his eyes. He fell to his knees. The council finally voted to reach out. For the first time in years, they sent a message to Earth, to wherever the humans now lived. It said, "We offer peace, talks, a ceasefire. Please respond." No answer, not. For days then, a signal appeared. Inside the human base, Riven stared at the message sent from the council. Kira sat beside him, confused. Why not talk? We could end it. Riven looked away. They didn't ask for peace when we begged. They're asking now. They're asking because they're losing. Silence stretched. Then Project Ashes spoke. They will not stop. They will only change their face. Riven nodded. He turned to Kira. I want our next message prepared. Something stronger. Something final. Kira hesitated. And what will it say? Riven looked her in the eyes. It will say what they've always feared. Across the galaxy, every screen lit up. Council worlds, border planets, war fleets, civilian colonies. Every single screen played the same image. Riven stood alone. Behind him, Earth turned slowly. He spoke without emotion. You destroyed our homes. You erased our history. You hunted us across the stars. We survived, and now we are not asking for peace. He leaned forward. We are showing you the price of betrayal. The screen faded to black. Then one last whisper filled the air. You started this war, now you end it. And the galaxy held its breath. Dust fell from the ceiling of the moonbase's lower level as engines roared above. Kira sprinted down the narrow corridor, boots slamming against metal grates. Red lights flashed along the walls. The air tasted like smoke and fuel. In her earpiece, Riven's voice echoed. They've found the outer gate. Hold position. Lock down Section 9. She slid to a stop beside the blast door panel and slammed her palm against the screen. Gate locked, she gasped. We're sealed. Good, Riven said. Now fall back. We need you at the core. She turned and ran behind her. The metal groaned. Dull thuds echoed something trying to break in. Hours earlier, they had picked up the incoming ships. 3 capital-class cruisers. Council design, Cyrex led, no warning. No transmission, just a silent approach toward the moon. Looks like they traced one of our drops, Juno had said. They want to wipe us before the other systems panic. Riven nodded. Then, let's remind them who we are. He gave the order. Satellite went dark. Every signal in the system dropped. The humans vanished again. Only Project Ashes remained active, quiet, watching, waiting. Commander Valter stood aboard the Council cruiser Wrathclaw, staring down at the gray moon below. Scans confirm movement under the surface, his tech officer said. Multiple energy sources. Life signs, dozens, maybe more. Valter's jaws tightened. So they are here. He looked at the view of Earth in the distance, rotating slowly in its shield of satellites. They should have stayed dead. He turned to his second-in-command. Send down breach teams. No survivors. Now, as Kira entered the core chamber, she could feel the heat rising. Engines powered up. Generators hummed. Riven stood at the command table, helmet under his arm, eyes scanning the tactical map. They've entered Section 8, he said. How long until they breach the next level? Kira asked. 10 minutes? Maybe less. What's the plan? Riven pointed to the edge of the map. A trap. He tapped a glowing marker. We let them push forward. Then we drop the ceiling. Seal them in. Kira hesitated. That'll bury part of the base. I know. She stared at him. You'll be trapped. Riven's eyes didn't flinch. I've been trapped since the day Earth burned. Down below, Cyrex soldiers marched through the broken corridors. Their armor clanked, Flashlights swept through the shadows. Suddenly, one paused. Movement ahead, he hissed. They aimed weapons from the corner. A figure appeared. Human, alone, unarmed. The Sirac's leader stepped forward. "Surrender," he hissed. The human didn't speak. He just smiled, then vanished into the smoke. Before they could react, the walls exploded. Steel beams dropped from above. Fire filled the corridor. The Sirac's screamed as the base collapsed around them, then silence at the command level. The impact shook the floor. Kira gripped the table. Collapse complete. Juno said through the comms, sections 8 and 9 sealed. 20 council troops buried. Any losses? Riven asked. None on our side. He gave a short nod. Meanwhile, across council space, news of the failed assault began to spread. Ships were missing. No contact from the ground team. The system was silent again, but only for a moment. Then, every station, every ship, every planet received a single message. We are not your prey. We are your memory. We are what you created. And with that, 20 Council defense systems shut down at once. An entire Outer Rim sector lost power. Trade collapsed. Star routes turned black. Panic followed. Back on the moon, Kira sat beside Riven as they reviewed footage from the battle. She pointed at one image, a Sirac's commander's final moments. He wasn't fighting. He was reaching out, begging. Begging, double quotes. Do you ever feel sorry? She asked. Riven didn't look away. No, even now. They had a choice, he said. We begged them for peace. They voted for silence. Then they burned us. Kira lowered her eyes. But if we become like them, we already did, he said quietly. The day Earth fell. Later that night, Riven stood alone at the edge of the base's outer platform. Earth was high above, bright and beautiful. He stared at it for a long time. Footsteps behind him, Kira again. You don't sleep. Can't me neither. She stood beside him, looking at the stars. You think the galaxy will ever forgive us? Riven's voice was tired. They won't forgive what they don't understand. And if they try again, he looked at her. We erase them. On the Council's central world, another emergency meeting was held. This time, the fear was louder. They are too powerful, said one delegate. They know our systems better than we do. They've taken over 3 sectors in silence. Another said, without a single battle. Then we talk to them, shouted one. We send a real envoy. No, Keln said, rising. They won't accept words. Not now. Why? Keln looked at the star map. They already told us. A new signal arrived the next day. It wasn't a message. It was a replay. A hidden file, an old council meeting from before the betrayal. Private, secret, and now public. The video showed council leaders planning the extermination of Earth. Their voices were clear, their faces visible, their words undeniable, and the message beneath the video: truth always survives. Across the galaxy, civilians rioted, alliances broke, trust crumbled. The council began to fracture from within. On the moonbase, Riven sat in the dark chamber where Project Ashes lived. The AI pulsed softly. Is it time? It asked. Almost, he said. They are breaking. We won't wait much longer. Project Ashes hummed, wires twitching. And when they fall, we will disappear, Riven said. No flags, no empires, just the truth. The AI paused. You are different from them. Riven stared at it. Double quotes, no. I just remember. In the farthest council world, where the stars are young and the colonies quiet. A small child stared up at the sky. Her mother pulled her close. Come inside. The humans might come. The child asked, why are they so angry? The mother whispered, because they were kind and we weren't. And far above, in the shadows between stars, a human ship passed silently, watching, listening, waiting, and always remembering. Deep within the moonbase, silence wrapped around the vault chamber like a shadow. Thick steel doors stood between humanity and its darkest secret. Only Riven had the access code. He stepped forward, placed his hand against the scanner, and waited. Hiss echoed through the corridor as locks disengaged. Behind the doors was Project Ashisnot, a weapon, not entirely a machine, something more alive. The chamber lights flickered as the core lit up with a dull red glow. black cables twisted through. The walls, the air crackled with energy. This was Earth's final creation, born in silence, raised on revenge. Kira stood beside Riven, eyes wide. "Are we ready for this?" she asked. He didn't look at her. "We passed that point long ago. Years before the war, Earth had discovered something strange. A shattered alien probe had drifted into the edge of the solar system. It held technology far beyond anything known: dark matter threads, quantum cores, code that moved like thought. Human engineers had studied it. In secret, quietly they learned, adapted, rebuilt. They called the research. Ashes after what they feared Earth might become if the Council ever turned on them. Then the betrayal came. And ashes became their only hope. Now it pulsed with power, its voice low and mechanical, yet disturbingly calm. "You called me Commander." Riven stepped forward. "We've confirmed their Council fleet regrouped at Helion's Reach." Ashes didn't blink. It couldn't, but it processed the thought instantly. 15 warships to supply vessels. 1 command center. Correct? Riven said. Kira added, "They're preparing a counterstrike." Ashes responded with no delay. "Then we move first." On Helion's Reach, the Council fleet was gathering under the command of Admiral Threx of the Ear Confederacy. The Admiral stood on the deck of his flagship, watching smaller vessels dock and resupply. He had survived 2 human attacks already. He knew they didn't come with armies or warnings. They came like ghosts. Suddenly, the screens in front of him began to flicker. Static filled the bridge. "Shut that down," Threx barked. "Trying, sir," the technician yelled. "It's overriding the system." Then came the voice, Riven.com, clear human. "You knew we were still here. You planned your second betrayal. Now watch what we learned from the first." Threx's eyes widened. "No cut that comes. Cut it now." But it was too late. Outside, the sky darkened, not from clouds, from ships, black, silent vessels that shimmered like oil and light. They didn't fire, they simply moved, and everything died. Inside the Council warships, systems shut down, engines failed, doors sealed. The crews couldn't escape. Project Ashes had slipped inside every system before the battle began. A perfect trap. Admiral Threx's flagship spun out of control and crashed into the command center, taking out the entire fleet's leadership. No warning, no survivors, and just before the ships exploded, every terminal displayed the same message: "You started this war." Back on the moon, Kira watched the footage in silence. 17,000 soldiers, she whispered. Gone. Riven stared at the screen, unblinking. They would have erased Earth again if we didn't act. She turned to him. "Is this justice or revenge? Does it matter?" Kira opened her mouth to speak, then stopped. Outside, the stars were shifting. Another fleet was forming, but not to attack. To flee. Word of Helion's Reach spread fast. Entire Council colonies began abandoning their posts. Soldiers deserted. War. Leaders vanished into hiding, and the people, the common citizens, began to question everything. Why had they voted for war? Why had they trusted the lies? And why had no one listened when Earth begged for peace? In one such colony, a young alien named Lyrith hacked into the Council archives. She uncovered the secret Votha, one where Earth was marked for destruction. The footage spread like fire. It showed Council leaders nodding quietly, signing off. On genocide, the citizens were horrified. Riots began. Revolutions followed. The Council was crumbling, not from battle, from truth, inside the moonbase. Juno ran into the command center, breathless. "We just intercepted something strange." Riven looked up. "What is it?" "A message. Not from the Council, from the outer colonies. Civilians." He played the file. A hologram appeared, a young alien woman standing in the middle of a broken marketplace. "We didn't choose this," she said. "They never asked us. We want peace. We believe you now." Kira watched in silence. Juno frowned. "Could be a trap or a turning point," Kira said. Riven didn't answer. He simply stared, then finally said, "Ashes. Prepare a reply." Later, in the AI chamber, Project Ashes hummed with energy. Riven stood before it. "Transmit a controlled signal. Keep our location hidden," Ashes responded, message crafted. Tone, firm, Words clear. The voice echoed across the galaxy within hours. If you did not choose this war, then prove it. Stand against those who did, and we will not strike you. The line between enemies and survivors began to blur. Some colonies formed resistance cells, not against humans, but against their own council leaders. Others opened secret channels to the moonbase, offering information, codes, support. Kira watched it unfold. They're scared, she said. They should be, Riven replied, but not everyone turned in the depths of council territory. The last remaining powerhouses began to build something massive, a weapon, one they had hidden, even from their own allies. The Leviathan Protocol, a machine the size of a moon, designed for one purpose, to erase Earth once and for all. It was nearly finished, and it had one command in its core: burn everything human. Kira found the intel first. She ran to Riven's quarters with the datapad in hand. They're building something, she said. Riven read the report slowly. This is it, he murmured. Their final move. We can't reach it in time, Kira said. It's deep in their territory. We don't need to reach it, Riven said. He turned to Project Ashes. I need options. The AI pulsed. I can't destroy what I can't touch, but I can send something that will. Kira stepped forward. What does that mean? Ashes responded. A virus, buried in their own systems, carried by their own machines. Riven nodded. Do it. Across the galaxy, council systems received a routine update from Central Command. They didn't know that update carried Ash's virus. Within hours, their own network turned against them. The Leviathan Protocol froze, its core overpowered, and just before the system failed, one final message appeared on its screens. You started this war. Now your weapons belong to us. On the moonbase, Riven sat alone at the observation deck. Earth spun slowly in the distance. Kira joined him. It's working, she said. They're breaking apart. Some want peace. Some surrender. Some just ran. Riven nodded. But it's not over. What now? She asked. We keep reminding them of what. He looked at her with tired eyes. Of what they chose. Far away, in an abandoned colony once burned during the first attacks, a new broadcast tower lit. Up it showed only two things: a recording of Earth before the war, blue oceans, cities full of life, music, laughter, and the final line of the message: this is what you tried to destroy. This is what you gave us no choice to become. And across the stars, the message burned. You started this war. The last transmission from Earth. You started this war. The silence after the fifth strike didn't last long. Council Command scrambled fleets, shifted protocols, and purged their internal records. But none of it worked, because the enemy wasn't attacking with armies. They were attacking with the truth, and it was spreading faster than any weapon. On the outer moon of Soren 3, Admiral Velk paced inside the command center. His officers whispered. Updates around him. Each report worse than the last. Another core server collapsed. Over 200 AI units in Sector 9 have been corrupted. Civilian riots on Telsin, thousands dead. And still no confirmed human casualties. None had been captured, none had been seen. It was like fighting ghosts. Velk slammed his fist on the table. This is war, not shadow play. One officer raised his hand weakly. Permission to speak freely, sir. Velk stared at him. Speak. We started this war. Sir. Back on the moonbase. Kira floated weightlessly in the zero-G chamber. The room was quiet, peaceful, but her mind wasn't. She kept hearing the old voices. Earth's last broadcast. You chose this conflict. You ignored our voice. Now hear our silence. The words weren't just angry. They were final. Training sim complete, the system said. Return to gravity. The floor pulsed. And gravity returned. Kira dropped gently to the metal. Riven was waiting outside. You've been in there for hours. I needed quiet, she said. There's no quiet left, Kira. In orbit above them. A council recon probe hovered. It had found a signal, not just human, something deeper. It relayed data to its host. Ship coordinates, pulse strength, encryption, and one phrase buried inside the feed. You were warned. Seconds later, the probe fried itself. Too much power, the council ship turned. But it was already too late. Behind them, 3 human stealth vessels uncloaked and opened. Fire. No lights, No warning, just silent annihilation. The council ship never even returned a signal in a hidden command vault beneath the moon's surface. Juno reviewed the data. The probe saw too much, she said. They'll be on high alert. Riven nodded. They already are. He brought up the next phase of the plan. It showed the orbital paths of 7 major council cities. If we hit these, Riven said, we don't just hurt them, we change the balance. Kira stared at the map. This is escalation. No, Riven said, this is instruction. They need to feel what Earth felt. Meanwhile, on the central council world of Mount Speaker, Kelm stood before the assembly. He was older now, tired. Ash-gray skin pale under the lights. Behind him, holoscreens displayed chaos across the stars, burning ships, falling economies. Empty thrones. They will not stop, Kelm said, because we gave them no reason to trust us. He turned, slowly scanning the faces of the council. For years, we treated humans as animals. Dangerous, wild, inferior. But they begged for peace. They pleaded for inclusion, and we denied them. Now the room was silent. Some looked ashamed. Most looked afraid. And now, Kelm said, we are learning what silence costs. On the battlefield moon, Riven stepped into the communication chamber. The lights dimmed. He sat before the ancient console. Time to speak again. He opened the old channel, the one that no longer existed on council records. The screen flickered to life. Not a face, just a symbol. The symbol of the human resistance. He pressed record. This is Riven, former commander of Earth's last defense fleet. If you are hearing this, you still have a chance. We do not want domination. We do not want territory. We want you to remember, because only truth ends war. He ended the transmission. Hours later, that message echoed across every major relay point in the galaxy. Not a threat, not a weapon, a voice. And for the first time in decades, people started to listen. Not just fear. They heard pain, they heard history, they heard humanity, and it changed everything. But not everyone wanted peace. In the deep black systems, where power still ruled, the High Lord Takar of the Varnic Syndicate watched the broadcast and laughed. Emotion, he said. What a weak strategy. His war fleet prepared. Dozens of ships, thousands of soldiers. He opened a channel. To the humans hiding in the shadows, do not fear you. Come, show me your strength, and I will bury you beneath my empire. On the moon, Riven received the challenge. He watched the message. Takar's face, smug and sure. Kira entered behind him. Do we answer? No, Riven said. He turned to Juno. Let Ashes answer. The AI activated a quiet pulse, a long hum. Then dash code. Thousands of virus strands sent through old syndicate channels, buried deep in forgotten tech. No guns fired, no fleets moved, but one by one, Takar's ships shut down. His cities blinked out, his empire crumbled, and his final message was not a threat, it was a scream. Then silence. Elsewhere, in hidden places, other species watched the silent ones. The old ones, the watchers. They had ignored the humans. Once now, they didn't dare, because humanity wasn't just surviving, they were changing the rules. No more borders, no more declarations, just action, fast unseen, unstoppable at the edge of a dying star. A forgotten council outpost received a signal. It wasn't a warning, it was coordinates. .2, Earth. The real Earth, not the dead one, not the burned one, but the one still protected, still alive. The message was simple, come and see, but no one dared respond that night under the stars. Kira walked the edge of the moon base. She looked up at Earth, still whole, still waiting. Riven joined her. Think they'll ever come back? She asked the council. Anyone. Riven stared upward. Maybe, but by then we'll be gone. She nodded, and if they find Earth, Riven's face was calm. Then they'll find the truth. And far above, in the silence, between systems, a final message began to form. A warning, a memory, a promise. We are the last breath of Earth, and we will never be forgotten. The gas giant called Xeros 5 shimmered in space like a dying flame. Its moons cracked with silent storms, and the space around it trembled with radiation. It was supposed to be empty. No colonies, no military posts, no reason to go near it, but today, someone did. A single human vessel entered orbit. Not a battleship, not a scout, something older, a memory ship. Juno stood at the controls, watching the systems flicker. The ship's hull was patched together from old Earth alloys than anything the Council had ever built. Yet its core was fragile, filled with recordings, faces, voices, history. "This is it," she whispered. Last known voice logs from Earth's evacuation ships. Riven appeared beside her. "Are you sure you want to release them?" She nodded. Slowly, truth spreads faster than fire. "Let them hear it." He gave her a long look, then we light the match. The transmission began. Across the galaxy, anyone tuned to the old Earth frequencies heard it. Children's laughter, singing, an old man saying goodbye, then static, then a voice broken, trembling and full of pain. "This is Commander Laura's of the Helix evacuation carrier. We have civilians. They are dying. No food, no water. We sent signals, requests, calls for help. No one came." Then silence again, followed by explosions and crying. "And finally, if you hear this, please remember us." On a Council mining station near the edge of the Vax Belt, a technician dropped his tool. His hands shook. His mind couldn't push the voice away. All around him, others stood still, listening for the first time. They understood this wasn't just war. It was loss. It was abandonment. And it was their fault back on the memory ship. Kira sat alone in the observation chamber. The stars outside blinked, cold and distant. But she wasn't looking at them. She was watching a video. A little girl in a yellow dress spun in a field of flowers. Earth. Flowers. Whole. Then the sky in the video turned dark. Ships appeared. Not alien ones, Council ones. And the field burned. "Do you know what this place is?" Riven asked. He had appeared beside her without a sound. She didn't answer, so he did. This ship was built in orbit above old Chicago, one of the last things Earth ever made. Kira's eyes stayed on the girl. What was her name? "Leah," he said. "Daughter of Dr. Haven. She was 5. Kira nodded. "I'm going to remember her." Riven looked out at the stars. So will they. On the Council Capitol, Speaker Kelm was no longer leading meetings. He was in hiding. Council members turned on each other, trying to erase their involvement in the Earth. Decisions, blame shifted, records vanished, but the transmissions from Earth kept coming from every angle, every system. They couldn't silence them, and they couldn't fight them. That's when a new order formed, one that didn't care about Council laws, one that didn't fear truth, the Coalition of the Remnant. Species that broke away from the old systems. They sent a message: "We believe Earth deserves justice." It wasn't an apology, it was a beginning. And Earth's hidden survivors heard it far away. In the ruins of an ancient asteroid colony, a vault opened for the first time in 50 years. Inside was a black cube, not a weapon, a recorder. It had one. Message inside. Riven played it. It was his father's voice. "They will erase us. They will call us monsters. But remember, Sun Truth never stays buried forever, and when they finally hear it, they will change." Riven looked down at the cube, then he crushed it in his hand. It had served its purpose. On the edge of the Orion Fringe, a Council fleet spotted another human ship. They surrounded it. No escape, no weapons. They opened fire anyway, but every shot missed. The ship shimmered, shifted and vanished. Stealth tech. No, something more, something new, something the humans never had before, and something that Council couldn't fight. Fear spread faster than the truth, because now they didn't just regret what they had done, they were terrified of what was coming. Inside the moon base, Juno reviewed the Coalition's offer and alliance too soon. She said, "They haven't earned our trust. They haven't suffered yet." Riven looked at her. "They're trying." "Trying doesn't bring back the dead," she said coldly. But Kira stepped forward. "It might stop more from dying." That made Juno pause. "You think they'll fight their own council?" "They already are," Kira replied. "And maybe this time someone listens." Elsewhere, a secret council lab ran final tests. Project Nullsoul, a weapon built to erase memory. Not kill, just wipe out identity. If they couldn't silence Earth's truth, they would erase it at its source. But before they could activate it, the lab systems shut down, power drained, doors locked, a quiet beep echoed through the halls. Then a voice, a human voice, and the lab exploded. In space. The human fleet gathered not for war, not for victory, but for release. They had more messages to send, more stories, more voices. The galaxy had seen Earth's fire. Now it would hear Earth's soul, and it would never forget. As the memory ship approached Earth's shadow, its lights flickered. The final transmission loaded the last words spoken by a human. Before the fall, Riven played it. To the stars above, we don't hate you, we don't curse you, we only ask. Please do better than we did. And if you find our world, tell them we tried. Kira wept silently. Juno bowed her head, and Riven stared at the dark shape of Earth, still hidden, still waiting. Then he whispered, "We're coming home." The signal came at midnight, not from a planet, not from a ship, but from something older than both, a human satellite cold, drifting, forgotten in deep space. It shouldn't have worked. Its power should have died decades ago, yet it blinked to life, and its message was short, coordinates, and one line of text: "We never surrendered." Juno stood frozen as the data loaded. The crew gathered silently behind her. No one spoke. The coordinates pointed to the grave zone, a place banned by every species. Ships disappeared there. Lights failed. Time bent. "It's a trap," Riven muttered. "Maybe," Juno said. "Or maybe it's something they didn't want us to find." She turned to the crew. "Prepare the ship. We go now." The journey was rough. Asteroids drifted like slow knives. Gravity shifted strangely, bending light around the ship's windows. Kira stared out at the black space. "No stars here," she whispered. "Just darkness." Riven placed a hand on the wall. "It's not space," he said. "It's memory." As they passed into the core of the grave zone, something came into view. A station. No lights, no signals, but still, whole. Old Earth design. Far more advanced than what the galaxy believed humans had ever made. They docked carefully. Inside, the air was stale, but breathable. The lights flickered on the moment they stepped in. No traps, no bodies, only silence, and something waiting at the center of the station. A massive chamber opened. Inside was a single chair, and in it sat a body, long dead, dressed in earth, military black, a badge on the chest read, "Admiral Rise Haven." Riven froze. "That's Leah's father." Kira stepped closer. Something was clutched in the Admiral's hand. A crystal core. Juno took it gently. "What is it?" Kira asked. Juno's voice was tight. "It's Earth's last command code. This man was the last link to Earth's defense AI." She looked up at Riven. "If we plug this in, we wake it up," he finished. Back on the ship, the crew argued. Some feared the AI, some doubted it still worked. But Juno didn't hesitate. She placed the crystal in the core. Interface for a moment, nothing. Then the lights dimmed, and a voice filled the room. "Com, calibrated, human. Welcome back, Commander Haven." Juno spoke. "He's dead. We're what's left," acknowledged. "Do you wish to activate Project Echofire?" Everyone froze. "What's Project Echofire?" Kira asked. The AI responded coldly. "The final protocol. If Earth falls, Echofire spreads the truth. Through every signal, every frequency. No one escapes it." Juno stared at the screen. "And the cost? All remaining Earth assets will burn out in the process." The ship went quiet. If they used it, Earth's legacy would scream across the galaxy one last time, but then vanish. No more backups, no more ships, no more ships. Only the truth. Forever. Riven stepped forward. "Do it." Juno looked at him. "You're sure?" He nodded. "They erased our homes. They buried our families. We won't let them bury the truth." The activation began. Echofire lit up systems across space. Old satellites blinked alive. Buried probes sent signals. Ancient ships, long thought dead, burst with light and sound. Every screen, every speaker. From mining colonies to council chambers, they all heard Earth. Voices of mothers, children, soldiers, scientists, crying, laughing, dying, begging, forgiving, warning. "We were peaceful. You made us weapons. We built bridges. You burned them. We gave you trust. You gave us silence. You started this war." Across the galaxy, people screamed, not in anger, but in guilt, in horror, in truth. species that never met humans fell to their knees. Council members resigned. Some took their own lives. The stars wept in silence, and the name Earth became a curse. A prayer in a small council chamber. Ambassador Velkar played the last Earth message again. Over and over it showed a boy in a burnt village. He held a piece of bread. He saw the drone, he smiled, and then a flash of balm. Silence. Velkar crushed the datapad in his claws. "I was there," he whispered. "I gave that order." His guards waited for new commands. Instead, he fell to the floor and wept. Back aboard the ship, the AI spoke again. Echo fire complete. All nodes burned. All messages delivered. Earth legacy transmission terminated. Juno stared at the black screen. Nothing remained, just silence. Riven exhaled. "It's done." Kira nodded. "No, it's begun." Suddenly, alarms rang. The ship rocked. Sensors screamed. Juno rushed to the console. Council fleet. They tracked the signal. On screen, 5 battleships approached. Weapons locked, no warnings, just fire. The ship shuddered as blasts hit the shields. Systems failed. Lights died. But then a shockwave of energy hit the attackers. Their ships twisted, screamed, and vanished. No trace. The crew stared in silence. "What was that?" Kira whispered. Juno checked the readings. A defense pulse. From the station. Last line of Earth tech. She looked at the dark chamber. Earth protected us. Even now, on the bridge, Riven stared out at space. The station behind them flickered, then exploded. Gone. Forever. Its mission complete. The crew didn't cheer. They didn't smile. They just watched. The stars, the silence, the memory, and slowly they turned toward home in the void, where Earth once stood bright and blue. Nothing remained, only ashes. But in those ashes, voices now lived, unforgettable, unstoppable, and across every corner of the galaxy. No one dared say Earth was forgotten, because now every world remembered, and every world feared what might come next. The crew didn't speak for hours. They drifted through space, haunted by what they'd done. Echo fire had reached every world, every screen, every mind. But with truth came enemies, and now the galaxy would answer. Juno sat in the command chair, staring at the stars. "They'll come for us," she said. Riven nodded. "They already are." Their ship's long-range sensors buzzed. A fleet, not one species, but many the same. Council that erased Earth had now joined forces to erase its last witnesses. Riven leaned over the display. 13 warships, heavily armed. "They're not here to talk." Juno stood. "Then we don't talk." In the engine room, Kira worked fast. Shield grids at 60%, weapons barely functional. She looked at the glowing core. "We're outgunned, outnumbered, no backup." She turned to Leah, who held a crystal chip. Leah's hand trembled. "This is all that's left of my father's AI, what he saved before he died." Kira stared at the chip. It could overload the ship, or save us. Leah stepped forward. "Then let's use it." The chip merged with the ship's systems, and instantly the lights changed. The engines roared with power they never had before. Weapons glowed like stars, and the screen lit up with a message. Tactical pattern, final stand, Earth directive, engaged. The enemy ships hailed them. A cruel, familiar voice came through. "Ambassador Kezran of the Varn Dominion." "The humans send ghosts now." Juno responded coldly. "We send the truth, and it burns." Kezran snarled. "You just made yourselves the target of every species that remembers Earth." Riven smirked. "Good. Let them remember what fear feels like." The battle began fast. Lasers sliced across the dark sky. Missiles screamed. The ship dodged, weaved, returned fire. One council ship exploded, then another, but there were too many. A direct hit smashed into the hull. Sparks rained. Kira screamed. As a console burst beside her, Juno shouted, "Divert power to the shields." The AI replied, "Negative. Power rerouted to offensive systems." Directive, "Do not run." More ships swarmed. The council had sent everything: fear, hatred, panic. But Juno didn't flinch. She grabbed the mic. "This is Captain Juno of the Ecofire Survivors. We have nothing left to lose, and everything to show you." She hid broadcast. The ship's data flooded into open space. Not weapons, not threats, but truth. Images of Earth cities turned to ash. Footage of peace talks ignored. Children holding up signs that said, "We want peace," just before the bombs fell. Across the enemy fleet, crews watched in silence. One by one, captains hesitated. Gunners pulled their fingers back. Even Kesrin's ship paused, but he shouted into the comms, "Don't stop. They're manipulating you." Still, the ships slowed, hesitated. Then a new signal hit them, not from Juno's ship, but from deep within their own systems. HFY wasn't done. It had seeded every ship, every station, every world. And now, it released everything, every secret file, every hidden order, every buried command that led to Earth's fall. Chaos broke out in the enemy fleet. Officers turned on their captains. Some ships opened fire on each other. Others shut down entirely. Screamed into his mic, "Shut it down! Shut it all down!" But the AI's voice rang clear in every ear. "You started this war. Now remember why." Juno's crew watched in awe as the enemy fleet tore itself apart, not from weapons, but from guilt, from truth, from the weight of their own lies, Riven whispered. "We didn't even have to fire." Juno shook her head. "We just had to speak." Only 2 enemy ships remained, Kesrin's and another Varn destroyer. Suddenly, the destroyer turned. It faced Kesrin. He shouted, "Stand down." But the reply was simple: "We will not follow monsters." One final blast. Kesrin's ship exploded in silence. Just light, just dust, just the end. In the silence that followed, a message came from the surviving ship. "Captain Gerald of the Varn Earth was never our enemy," Juno replied, voice calm, "but you made us yours." Jarrell spoke again. "What happens now?" Juno looked at the stars, at the ruins of the enemy fleet, at her cruise card, shaken but alive. "We build something better," she said, "or we burn again." Later, as the ship drifted through space, Leia sat alone with a last recording of her father. He smiled on the screen. "If you're seeing this, it means you survived. That means the truth lived." He leaned forward. "Make them hear it, Leia, even if they don't want to, even if it costs everything." She wiped her eyes, then whispered, "They heard it, Dad." HFY's legacy now floated through the galaxy. Unstoppable, unseen, truth. Wrapped in memory, pain wrapped in silence. And every world would feel it. Not today, but soon, because once they buried Earth, now Earth had returned. Not in fire, but in words. And words can burn more than bombs. As Juno stood on the bridge, watching the remains of the fleet disappear behind them, she asked quietly, "Do you think they'll change?" Riven leaned beside her. "No, not all of them," Kira added, "but some will." Juno nodded. "That's enough." In the vast quiet of space, something stirred. A deep sensor pulse, far off, beyond even the grave zone. A shape, moving massive old human, something long lost, awakening its systems. Blinked, its lights rose. A voice echoed, signal received, directive confirmed, target, justice. And, from the dark, a forgotten weapon began its return. Earth's final hand was still in play. It came from deep space, from the edge of the dead zone where no ship dared to go, from a place even maps refused to mark. It was black, silent, huge each a forgotten relic of Earth's lost days. The last weapon, its name was hidden under layers of dust. An old code. But one word pulsed across its rusted hull. Arevian Iantand, it was awake. Inside the Juno stood frozen. The screen glowed red, unfamiliar. Coordinates blinked. The AI voice whispered through the ship. "Earth Directive Omega detected. Last Vanguard returning." Leia looked up. "What does that mean?" The AI replied softly. "It means Earth still had one card left." Across the galaxy, the signal echoed. Revenant's pulse spread like thunder. Civilizations paused, satellites failed, stations flickered in the Varn homeworld. Panic erupted, ambassadors shouted. What did the humans leave behind? No one answered. Because no one knew that Revenant had never been listed in Earth's records. It was off-books, silent, forgotten, even by its creators, until now. Juno turned to Kira. "Can we reach it before they do?" Kira typed fast. If we burn the engines and override the safeties maybe. Riven stepped in. We might not survive that jump. Juno stared at the map. If that ship falls into enemy hands, no one will survive anything. The crew prepared. They knew what this meant. It wasn't about revenge anymore, not even about survival. It was about legacy, finishing what Earth started, correcting what the galaxy had twisted. The jump nearly tore their ship apart. Engines screamed. The hull groaned. Leah screamed as fire sparked from a console. But they made it. The stars shifted, and there it was, floating, cold, beautiful, in a terrifying way. A human warship unlike anything left behind. Long, sharp, covered in strange armor, like obsidian. Steel dot, and glowing softly red like a sleeping dragon's eye, Riven whispered. My God. They docked with shaking hands. The airlock resisted. But the AI from Echofire spoke again. Linking systems. Identity confirmed. Welcome, humans. The doors hissed open. Inside, it was dark, dusty, dead. Then lights flickered on, one by one. Soft footsteps echoed. Leah held a light. It's waiting for us. At the command deck, a chair spun, empty, screens lit up, and then a face appeared, human, old, warned. A digital memory. It spoke with calm power. I am Revenant, final warden of Earth's last will. Juno stepped forward. Who activated you? Activate. Did? The voice replied. The truth you released woke my purpose. Kira frowned. What is your purpose? The ship answered with silence. Then, one word. Justice. Outside, the stars twisted again. Enemy ships, Varn, Council, Scouts, had followed the signal. Now more were coming. Hundreds, thousands, REVENANT. Single quotes S lights turned. Red, weapons activated. Missiles rose from hidden chambers. Cannon bays opened like mouths. The ship roared. Target locked. Juno raised her hand. Wait. The lights froze. She stared at the screen. If we fire now, we'll be no different from them. The digital face stared. They destroyed your people. I know they erased your home. I know. They started this war. Juno stepped closer. But Earth believed in peace. Even at the end. Silence. Then the screen flickered and played a message. A woman's voice, tired, strong. Her name, Admiral Sarah, ELEN. She was the last commander of Earth's High Fleet. Her eyes looked straight through time. If you're watching this, then Earth is gone, and this ship has awakened. You must choose what happens next, revenge or resolution. She paused, then said softly, We built the Revenant to end wars, not to start more. Juno looked at her crew. Leah, Kira, Riven. They were ready to fight, but not to become monsters. Juno nodded. Then we send one final message. The Revenant's antennas rose across the galaxy. It BROADCASTED. Every screen, every channel, every station. A message from a dead planet. Juno's voice, strong, clear. This is the last voice of Earth. You erased our home, but not our truth. You wanted to forget us. But we won't let you. We will not fire. Not because we can't, but because we won't. You started this war, but we end it now with truth. People watched in silence. Children on distant moons, elders in floating cities, aliens who had never seen Earth, and those who helped destroy it. Some wept, some stared, some turned off the screen in shame, but no one ignored it. The Council tried to jam the message, too late. The signal copied itself, flooded. Servers broke firewalls, infiltrated. Satellites, even the most protected worlds, couldn't stop it. Earth was speaking again, and the galaxy was listening in the council chambers. Arguments turned to fights. A new generation stood up. Young voices. Unshackled by lies, they demanded change, truth, reconciliation. Some old leaders resigned. Others vanished, and for the first time in 100 years, the council cracked back on the Revenant. The crew stood silent, watching the world change, not from war, but from words. Riven shook his head. We didn't need to fire a shot. Kira looked at the ship. This was always Earth's true weapon. Leia smiled. Hope. Revenant's AI spoke one last time. Directive complete. Earth's memory preserved. Returning to rest, the lights dimmed. The weapons slid back into their vaults. The engines cooled. Juno nodded. Sleep well, old ghost. They returned to Echo-Fire, left the Revenant drifting in the dark. A warning, a reminder, a tomb, and a torch. The last warship of a planet that once believed in peace. Now silent, now eternal. Years passed. The galaxy changed, slowly, painfully, but it changed. Statues of Earth were built on alien worlds. A new alliance formed, not out of fear, but respect, and in the center of it all, the memory of a planet that refused to be forgotten. Juno, older now, stood in a quiet museum. A child pointed. At her, is that the captain who stopped the war? Juno smiled. No, the truth stopped the war. I just shared it. The child blinked. Will Earth ever come back? Juno looked at the stars. It was quiet. Then she whispered, maybe not the planet, but the people were already here. And somewhere, far away, deep in space. The Revenant floated still, dark, waiting, just. In case the stars forgot what silence could become. Because some wars never end, they just sleep, and Earth's final message would always echo, you started this war. We ended it. The end.